Chapin, are we recording?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with the K101 Podcast bright and early this Saturday morning. You know, our brains work different. Some of us are vanilla, some of us are kinky, some of us are ethically non-monogamous. And apparently, those of you who fall into that category, you swinger, you poly peeps, you ethically non-monogamous people, you look at romance, sex differently than the rest of us. And we're going to talk about that right now.
The K101 Podcast is intended for an adult audience, exclusively for people who are both mature and intellectually self-aware enough to comprehend the gravity and the responsibility of the sexual content contained in the discussion that follows. Those under the age of 18 are requested and expected to discontinue this feed now.
I know you're gonna dig this.
You guys are absolutely going to dig this. Thanks a lot for joining the K101 Podcast on Saturday morning. I'm your host, Mr. NonVanillaTryst. Off to my right, your stage left, over on Randy Undy. Cersei and Knots is still with us.
Hello, dear.
Love the green corset, darling.
Thank you.
It looks outstanding. You know, you're dressing appropriately. Our show. Hey, spoiler alert, Wednesday, there's a fight. Wall Street yells at me a couple times.
Not quite.
Well, he raised his voice, he said. But I love him. So, speaking of, in the Panage Gallery, a senior producer who's also sitting in the interactive chair, and I don't know if he'll be in the chat on Saturday morning or not. Probably. Wall Street.
You can kiss your friend. You can kiss your mom. You kiss your friend's mom. That's the start of a great porno.
Over in the Panage Gallery, Candy Mike. That's good, Wall Street. Stinger Switch.
Howdy.
Sawdust Stud.
Sodded.
Sodded.
Sawdust. All right.
Oh,
Sawdust.
no, that's
They're not
just
correcting
how I greet
you.
people. A saw, dude.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
Saw,
what's
okay.
a saw, dude?
All right, I'm with you
They'll
now.
know.
I'm tracking.
People in the comments will know.
People in the comments will know.
A saw, dude.
Our video producer this morning is Chapin.
Hi.
Are you in the chat this morning as well?
Depends on if my managers are around because they've
They
been,
were hovering last Saturday.
Yeah, they're hovering around all the people up front because
Rat
apparently
bastards.
there's been too many people
Best.
not doing what they're supposed to do. So I have to kind of be careful.
A lot of them.
Mostly the high school kids.
On the sly.
On the sly, on the DL.
Yeah.
Overrunning our audio board this evening, our audio engineer and sound producer, Panda.
Pushing all the buttons.
Yay!
I might be in the chat on Saturday.
Yeah, you might be in the chat on Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'll block it out on my calendar.
Woohoo! All right, today's show. We're talking about ethical non-monogamous. Oh, sorry, fetish model Emily Rose. Oh man, I told her to stay for this one too, and I almost forgot she was on the phone still. How are you, dear? Are you there?
She's falling down the stairs.
Sounds
while
like she's
driving.
falling down the stairs, but she's in the car.
I'm here.
There she is. How are you, baby?
I would be better if you could remember me.
I remember you all the time. Stop it. I've got my hands full. Cersei and Knots is over here riding Randy Andy where you're supposed to be, and she's giving me arguments, and I wasn't having any of it. And no, just. All right, you have my attention.
Tell the truth. It's the
I'm
nice
just a little
corset.
distracted. I don't know if that comes up on the camera. Can you get that to pull up on the camera a little better? Can you do that? That's
Wait, you want me to
pretty
do it?
fucking impressive. Look at this.
There's too much lighting.
Oh god damn.
I
Hang on a
got a great view.
I bet you do.
God, I love being a lesbian.
I love when
All right, let's see if that works.
go.
Do it again. Do it again.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You lift weights
Right?
like that?
Nice. Gotta do the lighting trick.
We lead a charmed life.
We do lead a charmed
You
life.
have-
It's my privilege.
Kegel weights and
It's my
boob
fucking
weights.
male
Yeah,
privilege is what
yeah.
that is.
You gotta train both ends, Kegel weights and boob weights. If you yeah, it's like legs
to
and
maintain
arms.
balance.
Yeah, that's right. You can't just do leg day. You gotta work the uppers.
Gotta do
too.
boob day.
That's right.
I like boob day.
Kegels and boobs. You gotta work them both. Otherwise, yeah, lopsided.
Shut up. All right, so we're talking about ethically non-monogamous people processing love and sex differently than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
All right, Enlighten me.
So I like to say kinky people are like Canadians. They're everywhere. You just don't know it because we blend in so well.
Talking about
It's true.
I need that one on a t-shirt.
Talk about it, eh?
Hey, I grew up in Buffalo in Western New York, and like we used to change Canadian money for like regular money. Like we didn't give a shit. We're like, that's a Canadian dime, whatever. It's fine. I'll take it. We were like Canada light. We were like Canada's redneck brother who lives in the basement.
Okay. Moving forward, on the rails, Saturday morning.
We don't need no stinking rails.
Americans shower just like everyone else. You hop in the shower and then you get the gun. All right.
All right.
So my point is, like, this article comes from Forbes. Like, you'd be surprised how much shit we get from Forbes magazine. I just think it's really amazing that we can get like kinky material from what would be considered a business magazine. But
Hey, let's face it. It's a business.
it is a business.
It's a business out there. It's kind of an
Thank
industry.
God for that.
Thank God, higher education. The 2017 University of Texas study. This is what parents. This is what you're spending your
University of
money on.
Texas?
University of Texas. They
Okay.
thought this needed to be investigated. A couple things I will say about this study. Very small, and they even mentioned this. There were only 20 participants, and there were only cis hetero men.
Okay.
So this is what I call a smoke study, and by that I mean when they did it, they kind of got smoke, so we don't know if there's a fire. There's definitely a lot of follow-up that needs to be done, but it's one of those preliminary studies where it's like, we think we got some information, so let's go next down the path. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. 20 cis hetero men between the ages of 22 and 50. Average age was 34. And they wanted to understand how... I realize boxes are not nice. I don't like boxes because no one fits in a box. Doll fits in a trunk, but that's a different story.
You fit in the trunk.
I fit in the trunk.
Check it out on our Patreon.
I miss that car.
Wait, did you send me that? That's on our Patreon. Yet. Hang on a second.
That's the one I totaled trying to get my ass here on a Saturday, remember?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good thing you weren't in the trunk. It's okay there, Dopender.
They put participants into two groups, 10 of each. You were either considered highly monogamous or ethically non-monogamous. Now, for definition, ENM is a very broad umbrella term. Under my umbrella, that basically means it's the anti-monogamous. But what I mean is, like, there's monogamous, and if you're not monogamous, then you're ENM. So it's swingers, it's poly people, it's basically anyone who engages in more than one sexual or romantic relationship at a time for various reasons.
But not cheaters.
We don't, technically ENM we don't condone cheating.
Okay.
But in this study...
Okay.
There were people in the ENM group who had cheated.
Got it.
So I'm going to bring that up. No, you're right. Cheating is bad. No one endorses it except you're a cheater when we don't want to be associated with you. But in this study, they did take cheaters.
Okay.
That's one of the questions. Have you ever cheated on your partner? And there were people in this other group. I think it said like 6 or 7 of the 10. It was unusually high. All right. Anyway, 2 groups, 10 each. Highly monogamous. They define highly monogamous as fewer than 5 sexual partners. What have you done with your life? Never cheated. And fantasized about people other than their current partner less than once a month.
What?
Yeah, like, okay.
So wait, if you didn't fall into that category, you landed in the ethically non-monogamous category.
Or you weren't.
Because, wow.
Or you weren't in the study. Like, I'm surprised they could find 10 people that met that criteria in the whole country. Like... I know we don't shame here, and that comes to, we don't vanilla shame and we don't mono shame. I'm blown away.
Wow.
Like I don't know anyone who is, like.
Wow.
I fantasize about the girl in the beer commercials, like, and those come up every 12 minutes on TV. So. All right. Very select group apparently. So they put them in one group. And then in the other group was the non-monogamous, or the ENMs. On average, they had 30 sexual partners, amateurs, had cheated in the past, and typically dated more than one partner at once. So a lot of poly people, a lot of swingers, a lot of people who just like to have sex.
All right. I'm not liking this sample group at all.
Why not?
All right, because we're going...
Well, first of all, which group?
No, just the group.
Okay.
The 20 participants.
Okay.
I do not like the sample study.
All right.
For the sole purpose of if this is knocked down to 10 people who've never ever fantasized about anyone other than their partner except for less than once a month. Like that stray chick on the commercial jumped into your brain.
They only
And then you're comparing that group to everyone else and we're calling them the ethically non-monogamous.
Well,
That's a little crazy.
Well, I
think there's some gray area.
There is some gray area, but there's a
Should
reason
probably-
there's a reason they polarized it. So if you've ever done any sort of experiment in 6th grade chemistry class, there's what's called the control and then the test group. And the control group needs to be as ordinary as possible because you need to make sure.
That's my argument, though.
Right.
Those vanilla people are not ordinary by any stretch of the imagination.
They when we get into what they're trying to understand, they want to make sure that other factors weren't blurring it. They're trying to get these two groups as diametrically opposed as possible.
Well, they did a great job.
Yeah, apparently they. Like I said, I'm surprised they found 10 people for the first group.
Right?
I bet.
Who's
I'll tell
that
those
tribe
people
in the Amazon?
5 of them lied.
Right? 5 of them lied.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
9 out of 10 guys
10
don't
of them lied.
fantasize about that, and that 10th guy's a fucking liar like the other 9.
The other 5 were the 20-year-olds.
Asked in this questionnaire, their partner was standing there, and they were like, "You ever
Yeah,
answer that?"
exactly.
No.
No, you better answer that right.
No,
Gonna
sweetie,
learn
I've
today.
never wanted to fuck anyone else in my whole life.
Ever.
No.
Aziz Ansari does this great bit about marrying your sweetheart. It's like, never made any sense to me. It's like, I'm 16, clearly nothing better is ever going to happen to me my entire life. I might as well just lock this shit down now. I just realized you did that same thing, so I apologize. I just made a dick on on air. It's fine.
I just got lucky, dude.
At least you're fucking honest. You're like, no, I got lucky.
He had to have other experience to get there.
I got lucky, and then we went out and had other experiences, and then went, no, we had it right
Sometimes
first time.
we have to.
Motherfucker.
Sometimes we have to understand what we don't have to treasure what we do.
Absolutely.
Have. Yes.
That's just fucking idiot. Took me forever.
All right, so we got these two diametrically opposed groups, 10 people each. They then exposed each of these two groups to 3 groups of images, what they would call kind of just like generic or plain vanilla. Stock photos you find on a website. People gardening, people walking through the park, people cooking, like the most non-romantic, non-sexual images you could think of. A second set of photos was what they would call romantic. So it would be people holding hands, people hugging, like non-sexual, touchy-feely kind of stuff. And then the third group of photos is my favorite, hardcore porn. Like, just straight out intercourse. And they reviewed...
Do that thing again. Never mind.
Yeah, that... Oh, God. Good night, folks. They then...
Be here all week. Try the boobs.
Yeah.
Veal.
Try the boobs. They then studied the brain pattern imagery of these two groups. Now, again, 10 people in each group. Not a whole lot to go on, but it is kind of interesting what they found. Concerning the romantic imagery, they looked at the brains of the monogamous men, and they found that there was increased activity in what are called the reward areas of the brain, so things that kind of make us feel happy, that release serotonin. Monogamous men got more of these happy chemicals from the I want to hold hands pictures than the non-monogamous men. So they found more value in the monogamous men found more. Oh, I forgot to mention it's all men, by the way, no women. Sorry, no vaginas allowed. Cis hetero men as well. This is the most like non-comprehensive study on the planet. They might as well just grab 20 people off the street and be like, yeah, you're fine, get over here. I bet you that's what they did. Anyway, so monogamous men found more value out of straight up romantic pictures, as we'll call it.
Wait, non-monogamous romantic men?
Monogamous men found more value out of romance than non-monogamous men.
Okay.
All right. So basically people who aren't in this room found more value. I'm pretty much everyone here at some point, E&M, to an extent. Yeah. All right. Almost. E&M's such a broad term. All right. In theory.
Yeah.
You looking for someone to test out that theory with you?
The paper is a lie, but, maybe. Someday.
Someday? Okay. You got my number.
I do have your number.
I know where you live. I don't know where you live.
Don't know where I live.
That didn't sound stalkery at all. All right.
I have your boombox in the car. In your eyes.
So
movies.
You shouldn't have said that because in the middle of quarantine, I almost did that. I have a boombox in my basement, and I almost drove by Doll's house, and I was just going to stand on the hood of my car and be like, "You're right."
I have a trench coat if you need.
I also have a trench coat. I've got a couple fedoras.
See? We're here for you, dude. We got your back.
All right. All right.
I got nothing going on for the next 2 months. I can really help you out on this one.
When monogamous men were presented pictures of the sexual imagery,
I know
those
you're gonna dig this.
those areas of the brain that lit up with romantic imagery continued to light up. So what the researchers saw from that is that monogamous men got the same reaction from people holding hands as people having sex. So follow me on this. What the argument there is, they kind of equate those two things.
Okay.
This is where we're going with it.
All right.
All right. If you're monogamous men saw holding hands and having sex as equivalent. Okay. With non-monogamous men, a different part of the brain lit up with sexual imagery. So monogamous men, there's this one part of the brain that lights up when they see both romance and sexual. With non-monogamous men, it's the same part with romance, but then there's a different part that lights up when they see sex.
Okay.
So the theory, or what we're getting here then, is that, I'm getting to the point in a minute, that non-monogamous men view those two things as different because the brain reacts to them differently. To get more specific, with monogamous men, what I call the reptile brain does not differentiate between sex and romance. They see holding hands essentially as equivalent as fucking.
Okay. That's what they're...
This is what the study essentially is saying. With non-monogamous men, how do I want to put this?
They make the distinction.
Not just they make the distinction, but they said with non-monogamous men, they view romance on a higher cognitive level. And by that I mean monogamous men see romance as the doorway to procreation. Whereas non-monogamous men see sex as procreation and romance as something above and beyond that.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Yes, I'm with you so far.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. They also found that previous studies had shown that non-monogamous individuals, so E&M people, have higher levels of testosterone. So they're explaining why did this happen. They think that if you're poly or E&M, you may have higher levels of testosterone than people who aren't, or a greater prevalence of a specific dopamine receptor gene.
Dope.
Okay.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So, what does this all mean?
Thank you.
Now we're presented with the question that I love this great. Are you genetically hardwired to be E&M?
Huh.
Yeah. See, I think
Okay.
that's one conclusion. Now
So
again,
it's a dopamine receptor is what you're saying.
they're saying that in the non-monogamous group, they have higher levels of testosterone production, and they have additional dopamine receptors.
See, hearing that that's kind of wired like that, definitely. I've had a couple of people talk to me and go, well, do you think that being non-monogamous is the same as having like a sexual orientation like gay or straight? And I was like, I had no idea how to idea how to answer that. And now I still don't, but that's an interesting fact.
I'm glad you brought.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. I'm gonna hear this.
All right. So, I think that's why some people enter the poly lifestyle and struggle with it so much, and other people can enter it and jealousy isn't nearly as much of an issue.
Okay.
That they're chemically or biologically designed that way.
They're more
Is that what you're-
inclined one way or the other.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So like jealousy is not as big of an issue if you can already differentiate sex versus romance. If those things are different.
No, I'm glad. Stinger Switch. I'm glad you brought up the poly concept as far as it relates to LGBTQIA, because it's something that we've talked about a lot. And me personally, I've never really landed on a yes or no. I think I like the argument of I don't think you are born poly, but I do like the concept that you're predisposed to it. I think it's a gray area, and like it's not. Well, that's how I am. I think it's more of a. It's like heart disease, for lack of a... Well, I guess being poly could be a form of heart disease. Only in the poly world can you be madly in love and heartbroken on the same day.
We need to bring back the perspective that only 20 people and only men
exactly.
were done.
Exactly.
This is highly skeptical at best.
Now, they also brought up a non-biological response, which is interesting, which I hope isn't true, because when I say it as a poly person, I almost get borderline offended, even though I shouldn't take this personally. Because the nature of the brain, the more that input it takes in, the more it grows and changes. Like your brain is not like your bones, and the fact that once your femur grows, it's your femur.
Right.
Your brain is constantly evolving.
He's a muscle.
Exactly. Because monogamous men viewed this similarity between relationship and romance, what they thought was they were able to form these connections between romance and sexuality, or they tied it together because they had more fulfilling relationships. And, yeah, exactly. Like that was my first response. As the romantic relations they had were more fulfilling from a not just a romantic but a sexual standpoint, they learned to incorporate these. It's basically saying, I love this person, we have great sex, therefore love and romance must be tied. Whereas if you're E&M, it's like, I love this person but we've had shitty sex, or we have great sex but I don't love this person, so it kind of stays segregated. I guess the argument is monogamous people tend to have more quote-unquote...
They mingle those.
They have more package deals, for lack of a better term.
I would wonder if the non-monogamous group had been shown video of one of their partners, if the same areas would have lit up. I mean, if you're looking at random strangers with romance and random strangers with porn, that's separate.
Yeah,
but
we're
if
talking
you're
about
looking,
20 people here.
I know, but every study starts with a small study, and then you see if there is anything to go with, and then you can go on and get grants to do bigger studies. You only have so much money to start with.
Exactly.
I would agree, however, that monogamous individuals tend to create a bond link that links the relationship and love with sex itself.
Right.
As if the label of marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend gave you exclusivity in that area.
I'm wondering if the same areas light up because that's the way they've been trained. Holding hands leads to kissing, leads to second base, third base leads to sex.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No,
I want to see what would happen if they showed pictures of their partner doing porn.
Yes,
that would have been interesting.
Yeah,
I'm with you on this. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this at this point.
That's fine.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm on board with the. Are we genetically predisposed? I like the way you worded that.
I like that too.
If you're saying that the people who are in the study who are ethically non-monogamous had higher levels of testosterone, is that an indicator? Sure, because I would think every woman on the planet has testosterone in her body as well.
True.
Did we check to see if people who are female and ethically non-monogamous, do they have higher levels of testosterone
I'd love to see that study.
Monogamy? I mean,
Texas, get on that. University of
Texas. Get on that shit. All right. But I like the.
I'll talk to him, Dave. I'll talk to him while I'm down there.
Yeah, thanks.
Go for it.
as a, I don't know, in my head, that's just where I'm at in my head. I think I like the genetically predisposed, and I think everything else beyond that, I think can be. Are we being brought up? I mean, just from our culture, I mean, if some of these guys are like, this is, we're going to lock this shit down. Betty Sue is, we're not getting any younger. I'm 16. I'm going to have to graduate, go to prom, and then after that, I'm at the factory. Yeah. I should probably lock this shit down pretty quick. I mean, if that's how you're raised, then 20 years down the road, ethically non-monogamous might be. I mean, if you've been happy, or even if you've just settled, because hey, let's face it, a lot of couples out there settle. If you're living that life and you're living a good life, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you've had a bunch of bad relationships, and then you get 20 years down the road and you go, you know what, maybe a little ethical non-monogamy is something that I should be thinking.
So the article brings us up. One shortcoming of it is that it's a point in time study. They said there could be a lot of value in revisiting the same group 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, giving them new brain scans and asking them questions about what's happened in their life and see how that has affected if there have been any changes.
I like that a lot.
That's interesting. That makes this study feel a little less weird. Not weird like, oh my God, but like weird like, Jesus, does that really cover anything?
You're studying 20 men in Texas and 10 of them don't fantasize about anyone other than their partner.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Like, I don't know how you found those 10 men in the country, let alone Texas.
I know.
Texas is absolutely right.
They were maybe towards the higher age end of the study where they've gotten settled and they're done.
Yeah. Those are 45-year-old ranchers out there. 50-year-old ranchers. Fuck, I'm only 50. Yeah.
But
55-year-old ranchers out there.
Emily Rose brings up a good point. As far as people who are polyamorous, on average, I think tend to have less problems with jealousy. Not that they don't experience, and I think swingers, this would be equal as well. They have less of an issue with it. But I always thought it was interesting that people who are new to the poly or the E&M community, that I talk to a lot of people about this, and that always seems to be not just the biggest but the first stumbling block.
It absolutely is.
It's how do I get over the concept that my partner is doing something with someone else?
Hey, I struggle. Panda.
Yeah, so to your point, Wall Street, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. So before I had even considered, ethical non-monogamy, I had always seen all of these couples that had this, we're going to keep score. I can do this for you and you can do this for me.
Guilty.
And I always thought, okay, well, what about the couples who don't keep score? What about the couples who don't put that pressure on their partner, whether, sexually or emotionally? Not everybody's wired the same. So that's when I really started to look into that ethical non-monogamy. And it's really interesting that was actually when I discovered, asexuality. Not personally, but there are people who are asexual but still want more than, a platonic relationship among friends. They still want that intimate emotional connection with people. So I think it's really interesting that from a non-ethically monogamous perspective into one, those are some of the parallels that I was able to draw.
Stinger switch.
I can speak on asexuality in that I at one point over the summer I was in I had two partners and my one girlfriend had a boyfriend, and that was kind of our polycool. And I was not sexually active with either of them actually, because both of them were asexual, and it was very eye-opening to me to see how emotionally intimate and like even physically still, like without like sex, I could be with someone without having sex with them. It was a very eye-opening experience. Was it for me? No. I am not asexual, but it definitely did teach me about how people do live that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was an interesting experience and definitely taught me the value of quality time as a whole without it being sexy time.
While I am not asexual, I find as I get older, I'm becoming more towards that end. And what I mean by that is if 100 is hypersexual and 0 is asexual, I'm probably less than 50. Like I'm less than average when it comes to that. I've said it 1,000 times. There are days, most days, I will take cuddling over sex any day of the week. I just want to lie down. Shit, that is one of Dolls and I's favorite activity. I'll be like, can we just go down, go upstairs, lie down in the bed, turn on the TV, and kind of maybe just fall asleep.
Hey, bud.
It's amazing.
Hey,
To
bud.
both.
Bud. Are you there?
I'm here.
On a scale of 0 being asexual and 100 being hypersexual, what's my number?
You? Probably 107.
107. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Sounds about right.
All right. I love you, baby. I was just asking.
And I am probably like 37.
No, I wouldn't go there.
I would.
Okay, maybe right now.
But I think that's a huge advantage of ENM is that if you have a partner who has a differing sex drive, having other sexual partners can be very helpful. I'm pretty tied up. I don't know what she is, but she's definitely above 50. I would probably say she's probably closer to 70. It sounds from the outside world coming in, from the outside world looking in, it sounds very weird to say, "Well, where's your wife?" I'm fucking some guy. And you're, no, good, because I got peace and quiet. It's like yes, please take my hot wife off my hands so I can watch TV. It sounds weird, but it's all right. We're okay with that.
Because I think what you're saying is that separation in the brain means that you can recognize that sex and romance or love are not
Bingo.
necessarily the same thing. You can
Yep.
make that distinction.
I can love someone without having sex with them. I can have sex with someone without loving them. But even more so, I can do both, and someone
Yes.
else can do both, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Interesting.
K50 Mike.
I was gonna say, I think I can follow, but when it comes to sex, I have to respect them. That's the only thing. I gotta be friends with you. I can't hook up. That's horrible. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm not wired that way.
I think my problem is I get a bad case of the feels.
Yeah.
Panda.
See, I would agree. Like, I personally identify as pansexual, so like I can't have that intimate relationship with someone without having some sort of emotional connection. But at the exact same time, like, I've been unpartnered for a duration that I will not name. But that's okay. Like, I've learned so much about me personally and what I want out of a relationship
Right.
because of that.
Yeah.
I found that it's important to be able to function as your own unit. still.
Absolutely.
You know, there have been times where I was while I was single in the interim between my last one and the one I got sitting next to me, where I was like, okay, I have a night to myself. What does Stinger? I almost did it to myself. Wow, I really need a drink now. What does Stinger Switch like to do? Just by myself.
Yeah.
And for a while, I was at a loss. I was like, damn, I don't know what I like to do anymore. This is a problem, and I figured out, if I can kick it with myself, then I will never actually be lonely.
One thing I love so much about the poly community that doesn't really extend necessarily to other areas of ENM is the A word, autonomy, which does a couple things. It basically states people are free to do whatever they want, but the corollary to that is in order to accept autonomy in your life, the first thing you need to do is be okay with yourself. You have to be okay making your own decisions on your own and saying, this is what I want and this is what I'm okay with. And loving yourself is a beautiful feeling. It's absolutely fantastic.
Long journey, bro.
Oh, yeah.
How we doing?
I think we're good.
It's about 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's 30 minutes.
That's what I
Fetish
want.
Model Only Rose, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I'm just stopping to get gas. Sorry.
That's okay, baby.
Interesting.
Wall Street, this is a lovely article. Warm feels. This study sucked.
It's an interesting start.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept.
All right, I'll give you. It's an interesting start.
Gotta see what Texas can do, though.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of questions here. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of questions.
Like I said, it's a smoke. We got a little bit of evidence. Let's see where it leads. Maybe we're wrong, but I think it's promising.
All right. All right, guys, what did we miss? Drop it in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And if you have like things that you want us to bring up and talk about on the show, if you have suggestions for the show, make sure you reach out to us, nvtryst@gmail.com, or just 717-925-0603. Call us and leave us a message and, talk about it. You can reach out to us. Check the video description below. The link to the article that we're talking about it'll be in the description. But on top of that, we're here. Like, talk to us. That's what we want.
Provide show suggestions. Take the ease off of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street's losing his brain.
Nah, make him work.
Wall Street's 9th annual staycation where he just stays home from work all day for a whole week is coming up first week of February. So yeah, I literally have nothing to do. Please call me and talk to me and keep me busy.
Yeah, you can reach out to us on social media. Check out all the Twitter links and the video description.
Don't
below.
ask him to do anything. He's lazy.
Yeah, don't ask him to do anything. He doesn't do anything at all. Like, he doesn't run this group. He doesn't moderate that. He doesn't.
Well, then I can do all that from my couch. That's why I do it.
He didn't start any new groups. He hasn't started any other munches. He's not running video date night or anything like that.
I need to get Brothers in Bondage updated.
Yeah.
That's
why I brought it up. I was like, oh, I saw that.
We got 4 people. I mean, 3 if you don't count me, but
Hey, that's how this show started 5 years ago.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was me and Envy and Sal. It's a cock processing plant. Drunk.
For 3 hours.
At a time. Easy.
I recall those days.
Oh, every week. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with the K101 Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Non-MonogamouS. Wednesday's show is
the one where your head explodes.
Yeah, the one where my head explodes because misandry's a thing, and some people think it's cool, and
it's not cool.
It's cool.
Necessary.
No, it's not. Oof. Anyway. Hey, it got heated in here. So, guys, thanks a lot for hanging with the K101 Podcast. For Cersei and Nuts, for Wall Street, for KMFT Mike, for Fetish Model Emily Rose, and for Panda, and for Stinger Switch. And tell me again.
Sawdust Stud.
There you go. And Chapin, I'm your host, Mr. Non-Monogamous. We will catch up with you guys on Wednesday. Chapin, kick us out.
Can I smell it?
Now a word from our sponsors.
They're for men.
Use it anyway. Adult supervision recommended.
Just do it!
You're listening to the Non-VanillaTryst K101 Podcast with Mr. NVT.
I will do whatever it is that you want.
They don't even pay me to be here.
Oh, I'm very wet. I'm just really trying to turn you guys on. That's all I want to do. Yeah, pull them pants down.